Namaste and good evening to you all. My name is Kashmira and I'm a regular vegetarian meal supplier for the meetup group with Russell, and this is the first time we are partnered up with Helen and doing a yoga supper, which is quite a nice combination. So the meal you're going to have tonight is what is based on Ayurvedic principles. It's not a pure Ayurvedic meal because it is quite complicated, because each person has a different type of body build and internal constitution to make up. So this is just based on Ayurvedic principles. And Ayurveda is an ancient medical system in India, and it offers one of the fastest paths to modern problems which we have. The three Ayurvedic body types are called doshas: Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Each dosha, which is the constitution, has a unique set of characteristics. But we can't really go into that because you need Ayurvedic persons, experts to explain which dosha you are on. But basically it's based on sweet, sour, bitter, pungent, astringent and salty, the 6 tastes which have the particular qualities, and that's how they aggravate the doshas. So these 6, the combination of these 6 tastes are what constitutes the food which we are having. And the practice of Ayurveda in essence is about harmonizing mind and body. Today it's considered a type of complementary and alternative medicine, but it's thousands of years it's been practiced in homes in a subtle manner because it becomes our way of life. So as a child, I've grown up with eating what the food we have, but we are not basically sat down with blackboard saying this is Ayurvedic principles, because that's become our way of life. Our grandmothers did it, our mothers did, I do it now, and it just goes on. So I'm not an expert, but this is what I've been brought up, and I like to impart that little knowledge to everybody. And so my mom and aunt cooked for 15 of us when we were children, and we just took it for granted that, oh, because it's winter, we're eating this. Because it's summer, we are eating this. Seasonal foods and morning foods, night foods, afternoon were all like as structured in a way for us, which we didn't realize then, but now that we understand how our body works, and when we live outside India and we eat melon in winter, we eat some oranges throughout the year, we suddenly realize, hold on, there's something wrong in the system here. We need to eat more seasonal, we need to eat more fresh, organic, and we need to just keep harmonizing the nature and ourselves more these days. So like we said, the 6 tastes are sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter and astringent. Now these are again correlate with the elements of earth, water, fire and ether. So the combinations of the 5 and the tastes are also correlated. So sweet is earth and water, sour is earth and fire, and so on. So each taste again has some element of the nature and earthly as well. So this holistic approach to health allows us to become more balanced, vital, like more energized, happy person with at least a bit amount of effort. And today, with these modern day problems, this looks like it's quite a bit of a solution for us. So what we are eating today has most of the sweet, sour, salty, astringent mixed in most of the foods today. You might taste a bit of salt there, a bit of jaggery, which is a sugar, in some of the foods. There's very little chili in here because you must have noticed the 5 tastes, there isn't heat. There's no heat because Ayurvedic believes that everything balanced is good. So the saltiness, the pungent or whatever, the heat is disguised in these. So there's very little chili or the heat in there, but the spices are there. The medicinal spices which we use are there to keep you, to give you some heat. There's ginger. There's no garlic and onions because that's again part of the Ayurvedic principle, because that's the heat part of it. So before we say a small prayer, we just talk about why do we eat with our hands. You've got a nice westernized layout there with a very traditional Indian starter. So fork, knife, spoon, that's how everybody's brought up to eat. But in India, if you've traveled around India, it's mainly spoon. Occasionally now with modern cutlery, yes, there is forks, but usually hands are used. So the first principle is you've washed your hands, you've said your prayers, and you eat with your hands. It's quite a trick. It's especially if you eat with your left hand, you'll just dribble all over because that's how the way the right hand facilitates the food to go into your mouth much easier than the left hand. My grandchildren have started eating with their hands since they were 2. They know the difference. When it's Indian food, they know they have to eat by hand. When it's their lasagna, spaghetti bolognese, they eat with a fork and knife. So that they know the difference. But let's go and see why do we eat with our hands. So the 5 pranas which we talked about, the air, earth, fire, water, and ether or space. These are the 5 elements which represent our fingers. And by eating with our hands, we are allowing the 5 elements to begin to transform and digest our food even before it reaches our mouth. So it's just the senses of the 5 senses of the 5 fingers and the whole process of it. It's often said that the flora and the enzymes on our fingers are ingested with the food, benefiting the digestive tract. So it's important that we wash our hands thoroughly before we eat, and it's just producing this enzyme and helping us to digest. Some feel that the sense of touch conveys to the stomach that we are about to eat and increase digestive activity even before we take the first bite. So it's just a sensual connection of the food. I'm sure you've seen the food and you're already feeling the connection, the sensual connection there. Much on the practical point of view, we are less likely to burn our mouth and tongue when we eat our fingers because we know exactly how hot something is going to be when we touch with our fingers. And the last, which is very, very much in vogue these days, is mindfulness. And I'm sure Russell can talk much more about mindfulness. But eating with our hands slows us down. It brings in a sense of mindfulness which has been shown to reduce anxiety and eating disorders and mindless snacking. So that this is good for healthy weight and diet and a good way to eat. So you try to eat less because you're eating with your hands, you're more mindful and you're more thoughtful about what you're eating. So these are some reasons why we eat with our hands. So I was just explaining my way of cooking when I teach in my cookery lessons, or I'm demonstrating, or I'm doing the suppers, is being positive, cooking with good positive vibes, some good mantras in the background. So all those positive thoughts are in the food I cook. And what I hope that those positive vibes are transformed into my food and passing on to people who eat. So that's my philosophy, and I think if you're a happy soul and you're cooking, no matter what you put in the cooking, the food is going to be tasty. If you're going to be negative in your thoughts, you're angry or you're jealous and you're cooking and you say, oh, I'm going to cook for these guests, but I don't care. Oh, whatever, just simple reasons. Those vibes are definitely going into the food. Believe it or not, it works. And one thing, I don't taste my food, so you are my guinea pigs today. I do, obviously it's vegetarian, but I do cook meat at home. I'm a vegetarian. I never taste the food for my children, my grandchildren, and they're used to it because they taste the food. So that's again something, because I know that I'm being mindful when I'm cooking, the taste is going to be great. So that's my philosophy. So I won't take much time, but we'll just go with one small prayer before we eat. Is the Gayatri mantra. It's that here. So I'll just say the mantra in Sanskrit, but we'll go with the general meaning later on. And whoever knows the mantra, maybe Helen knows, can just recite with me. Yeah. So we start with Om. Yeah. Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo devasya dhimahi Dhiyo yona prachodayat. So the general meaning is we meditate on the most adored Supreme Lord, the Creator, whose divine light illuminates all realms, physical, mental, and spiritual. May this divine light illuminate our intellect. So that is the meaning. So I think in all cultures, in all religions, there is always a prayer at the table to thank Lord. The food which is on the table, bless the people who are eating. So this is one way of thanking Lord. It's better than taking photographs of the food and posting it on Facebook. It's just mindfulness of eating with good thoughts and eating. So there's no immediate word in Gujarati to say bon appetit.